everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today it's me, Paula, and with me today is Ania from Poland. Hi Ania! Thank you for being here. I'm very happy because today we are also with a professional regarding to recording podcast, because Ania is doing an own podcast as well. It's in Polish and it's about traveling, as she told me before. So if you know Polish, you can also check out her podcast. We will put a link also in the Spotify description. But today we will talk about her EVS experience. So Ania did an EVS 3-4 years ago in Azerbaijan, which doesn't belong to the EU, but thanks to several partner agreements, you can also do your EVS, or nowadays your European Solidarity Corps, in countries which don't belong to the EU. So, welcome again, Ania. Thank you for being here with me. And the first question already is, how did you choose your project? Since also Azerbaijan is far away, I would say.
Yes. So maybe I will start from the beginning. Like I told you before, I did my EVS after my graduation. I already had a full-time job, but I was missing something. I wanted to change my place of living. So I decided that maybe I will go for European voluntary service. I was looking for some offers and I found some. But to be honest, I didn't like them. For example, one project was in Italy, but I would have to pay a few $1,000s to participate. Then finally I came across European Voluntary Service, which is now known as European Solidarity Corps. And I thought it was a great initiative. I started to look for a project because I wanted project somehow related with humanitarian help, and located in a place I have never been to. I preferred a country outside the EU. So Azerbaijan was fulfilling all the requirements. My project was about cooperating with internally displaced people, young people who lived in the settlements in Ganja, the second biggest city in Azerbaijan.
Really, really interesting. And why did you decide exactly for this project? You already mentioned humanitarian aid, but why exactly this project?
So when I found my scenic organization in Poland, they had two almost exactly the same project. There is only one different, and it was the location. One was in Georgia and the other in Azerbaijan. I had interviewed for both projects, but then I decided to choose Azerbaijan. The main reason was location, because in Georgia I would have to stay and live in an IDP settlement, and it was a village 1 hour away from Tbilisi. And in Azerbaijan we stayed in the second biggest city, Ganja. The other aspect was the language, because I spent almost 1 year in Turkey. So I knew basic Turkish, and I thought that it would be easier for me to learn Azerbaijani than Georgian. Turkish and Azerbaijani are in the same language group, but Georgian is completely different. They have different alphabet than Latin alphabet. So I thought, okay, Azerbaijan would be better. And also the third reason, I just knew deep inside that it would be a good place for me. When I saw the project, I thought that it was definitely something for me.
Very reasonable. And did you manage to learn Azerbaijan or basic Azerbaijan?
Yes, we had classes of Azerbaijani twice a week. We really had a great teacher. And what is funny, he's doing now European Solidarity Corps in Lithuania. Somehow maybe we motivated him and we inspired him. And yes, I learned Azerbaijani, but it was also because of the people. In Ganja, there is not so many foreigners, so people really wanted to get to know us. And they were speaking to us in Azerbaijani or Russian. And I didn't know any Russian. So for me, it was easier to try to speak in Turkish or use my Azerbaijani from classes. And to be honest, every day we had a chance to use the language, and I think I learned quite fast. And I still sometimes listen to Azerbaijani music. I'm sometimes speaking with my Azerbaijani friends because I have some, and they live in Poland. They work in Poland, so somehow I am still surrounded by Azerbaijan and people from there.
That's really cool. And how long did you stay in Azerbaijan, or how long was your project?
We supposed to stay 10 months, but we started 1 month later. We had some visa issues. Our hosting organization, they didn't know exactly how we should prepare visa, how we should apply for a visa. So we had to wait 1 month more, and we stayed 9 instead of 10.
And since you're the first person, actually, we are interviewing who did her EVS ESC outside of the EU. How was it with the visa process?
It was not that difficult, but first our hosting organization, they had to get a document from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Azerbaijan. So it took some time because they had to write a letter, and before they didn't know about it. But when everything was issued, they sent us by post, and we just had to go to the consulate in Warsaw, give the documents, and also I found information on the website of Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Azerbaijan that if you are going for job related with humanitarian aid, it should be for free. So I said that, we are going to help internally disabled people, and they didn't ask for money. But the tricky thing was that we just got the visa for 6 months. So during our stay, we had to go from Azerbaijan to Georgia to renew it. And over there, they had to pay. We had to pay because they didn't accept our explanation. But the funny thing is that before us, there were German volunteers. But no, and they got a little bit different visa because we got a visa for 6 months, multi-entry, so we could freely travel to Georgia. A friend of us was in Iran and so on. But a few years before, German volunteers, unfortunately, they had just a visa for 3 months and 1 entry. So they couldn't travel around, and every 3 months they had to go to Georgia. So at least maybe it was a way of traveling, and they had to issue a new visa. But yeah, we were lucky that somehow we got a visa for 6 months and multi-entry.
Interesting. Also a good point, because when you're living in the EU, personally, I'm not aware at all of visa issues or border issues. It's crazy. Okay, and once everything was settled and you arrived in Azerbaijan, how was your first impression arriving?
When I arrived, I was shocked because it was November and the weather was amazing. Sun was shining. I could go outside without jacket. And probably in Germany it's similar, like in Poland. Normally during the fall it's rainy, cold, everything is grey. But in Azerbaijan I felt like it was spring. The weather was perfect for me. But I was surprised that I couldn't see people, so many people outside, even during the weekend. So I asked my mentor, why the city is empty? And he said, it is fall, so people are depressed. And I was like, how is it possible? The sun is shining, it's like 18, 20 degrees. Come to Poland, you will see the real depression. But after a while, there was normal fall. Of course, not so much. It wasn't raining so much like in Poland or Germany, but the weather was quite good. We didn't have any snow. And also once it was maybe 0 degrees and that's it. And my second impression were the people. Every day I was meeting someone new because I didn't say it. I arrived as a first volunteer, then 2 others joined me, but I was the first. So I was meeting a lot of people. Like I said before, there is not so many foreigners. So everyone was asking me where I was from, what I was doing there. So I felt really good, and the people were really nice and welcoming.
Oh yes, I can relate to this. When I did my
Yes.
years in Hungary, it's pretty interesting. And how was your accommodation? And with whom did you live?
My accommodation was quite good. We had a flat in the city center. I lived there with two other volunteers from Poland, Roxana, you know her, and Patrick. We had two bedrooms. I was staying with Roxana. Patrick had his own bedroom. We had really nice big living room, kitchen and a bathroom. We had some problems in the beginning with the bathroom because we had some issues with the water. We didn't have like permanent access to the water. So once a day, the city was opening the water for a few hours. During this time, we had to fill the container located in the ceiling in our bathroom. It was simple. We just had to open the pump and the container was filling up with the water. But the key was to remember when exactly we should open it. And in the beginning we had some problems because sometimes we were forgetting to open it, so we didn't have water, or sometimes we were opening it but we had classes or lessons, and then when we were coming, like shower was full of water because the container was full, but luckily it was not outside the shower, so we were fine. But yeah, we had to get used to this.
I see. And concerning your work, what exactly did you do?
Mostly me and Patrick, because we did the same project, we were giving English classes at the settlement for young people. It was a really interesting experience because we had many students. Their age was between 7 and 25 years old, so it was really challenging. Because at the beginning they were all together in one group, so then we separated them, like young people together, kids and teenagers. But also we were organizing cultural events, showing Polish culture, Polish cuisine, and I really like it. But also we were organizing extra classes. I was giving fitness classes. I wanted to promote like sport activity among girls, and I had it at the settlement and also at our hosting organization.
So I think it was very various, your tasks, or they were very various. And what did you like the most about it?
I think the mostly I like organizing the events. It was really nice. We always had many participants. People wanted to see, they wanted to meet us, they wanted to try Polish food. We organized one event for Easter. We were showing how we celebrate it. Also, in Poland, we have a holiday. It's in the end of November. So we are doing some fortune telling. And we also organize it in Ganja, and I think it was the best, my favorite task.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sounds very interesting and yeah, quite funny. And I mean, there were lots of great moments, I guess, but I guess also some difficulties you had to overcome. And what exactly were those challenges you had to overcome? Like a few examples.
Yeah, so for example, like I said before, we had a water problem. We had to get used to this. And then on our street, there was no electricity because they were building a new shop. So for 3 days, we didn't have electricity. And also, we didn't have hot water because somehow it was related, and also we couldn't fill the water, the container with water, because it's also related with electricity. So 3 days we were without toilet and so on. We were going to the cafe to use the toilet. So there were this kind of challenges, but also we had some challenges regarding our job, our duties, because we didn't have enough duties. We wanted to do something more. We were giving English classes, but it was like twice a week. and it took us like 3 hours per week, so it's not a lot. So we needed to take an initiative and find a way to keep us busy. And this is why we started that cultural events. We had our fan page on Facebook. I started to write a blog about Azerbaijan. And thanks to it, I gained new skills. And I was trying so many things. I just learned that taking the initiative is important.
And I'm sure now in your daily life, it's really helpful also regarding finding a job and so on.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's really helpful. I remember after I came back to Poland, I was doing CV. And, when I was just writing down on a paper my tasks, what I learned, so I was like, okay, I did more during this 9 months than I learned during my professional job in 2 years. So it was really nice experience. And also I think that even my first interview just after I came back, so mostly I was talking about Azerbaijan and traveling, because after Azerbaijan I went for a 1 month trip to Turkey. I was traveling on my own. So my future boss, she was just asking me about traveling, how I like it, how I organize it. And it was, my job wasn't related at all with traveling or something. It was just more like accounting. But yeah, somehow it was really interesting, and really often I get the questions on the interviews. How was there? Why I went there? So it's a good topic for conversation.
Oh, interesting. I see. And concerning the country you have been to before, or did it change your perspective a bit on the way how we live, or the European culture? Did it change your perspective to live 1 year abroad, not abroad, but outside of the EU? Did it change something now in your daily life?
Yes, I guess it changed a lot. For example, I know more about that region, about Caucasus. I don't know how is it in Germany, but in Poland, when we had history classes or something, we never had a history of Caucasus or something. We are just learning about First World War, Second World War, maybe the prehistory, and that's it. So I didn't know a lot about the country, about the region, so now I am more aware about the problem they still have. But I guess I'm also more tolerant, open for others, and also for myself I gain maybe more self-confidence, because I was there, I was in a country which is outside the European Union, and I was able to organize everything, like to have my life, to adapt to new environment, to make friends with people from many, many countries. And also it shows that we are all the same. We can have some differences between countries, between ourselves, but still there is so many things we have in common. So it's always good to look at these common things.
Okay, now let's imagine you're at dinner with some friends of yours, and everyone is telling a funny story. And which story would you tell?
Oh my God, I have really funny stories. And so I was in. It was my first month, I think, in Ganja, and I went to Baku, to the capital. It was 300 kilometers away. And when I was coming back, I didn't take a bus, but it was like a kind of shared taxi. And when we arrived to Ganja, the guy asked me, where do I live? And I said, I live in Ganja. And I said in Azerbaijani, because I knew how to say volunteer. I said in Azerbaijan that I am volunteer, and he said, okay. And in Azerbaijan it's like chonulu, and he said, okay, chonulu. But then I was like wondering why he is not asking where I exactly live. But I say maybe she knew me because we had the situation that people knew us. We were walking around, with other volunteers, and they were talking about us in Azerbaijani, and we could understand. They knew where do we live, that we are from Poland. So I thought that maybe the guy knows where I live. So I was waiting, and then we were going away from Ganja, from the city. And I was like, okay, what is happening? We are outside the city, and it was like 10 o'clock at night. And I was okay. And then the guy stopped and he said, Chonulu. And then I realized that there was a village called like a volunteer, and the guy thought that I was going there. And I was saying, no, I live in Ganja. But so the guy took me back to the Ganja, but we had to leave all the other people because everyone was going to another city or village. So we took them home, and then the guy came back with me to Ganja. But it was like a language problem, language barrier, and we couldn't understand each other. But I think it was a bad luck that volunteer was also the name of the village.
Yes. What an experience. Wow. But luckily everything turned out well.
Yes.
All right, and we are coming closely to the end of this episode already. Maybe one last question. Oh, no, the second last question. What's your favorite song that represents volunteering?
So we were often partying with young people from Ganja, and they had a few favorite songs, and I like one of them. The name is Bazdalama. I don't know what does it mean, but it's really nice song, like for dancing, for clubbing, and it always reminds me our stay in Azerbaijan, our parties, and yes, every time I hear it, I want to dance. But yeah, I didn't listen to it for a while, but thanks to this podcast, I had a chance to check it and listen again.
Oh, nice. Then I definitely need to check it out. I will add it to our Spotify playlist. You can find the link in the description as well. And then we can all listen to dance music from Azerbaijan. Nice. Okay, now we come to the last question. A broad question. What does solidarity mean to you?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. And usually we don't think about it. Like in our everyday life. But for me, solidarity is just respecting each other, listening to each other without judging, and focusing more on the aspects we have in common than in the aspect that separate us. Just also simply helping each other. And I think that is my kind of short description of solidarity.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, you, Ania, for being here, for telling us your stories. Very interesting. Maybe it encourages also other volunteers to look behind the horizon of the EU and also take a step into other countries, which might be unknown or which might be a bit unpopular, but still have many great things to offer. Thank you very much again for being with me. Thank you very much, dear listeners, to listen to this episode. Don't forget to follow us on social media and maybe also check out Anja's podcast if you want, or if you want to improve your Polish. And until then, we say goodbye and let's hear us the next week with José.
Bye bye. Thank you.